Do you love movies that have unsatisfying endings? If that's the case, you're going to love XX. So XX isn't a prequel to the Vin Diesel Treble X series. No, this is a horror anthology movie with a little bit of a unique twist. That twist being that these shorts are written and directed by ladies. Hence XX, chromosomes and all that. You see what they did there? So this movie has 4 stories, so they are of a reasonable length for an anthology series. Some of these are a little too short, you get in anthology films, but generally speaking, this is not a bad length stories for each of these 4 films. Now, I'll kind of go through the films somewhat individually, but they do share a common theme. At least I would say 3 of them do, and that is, like I say at the beginning, these films end in a way where I feel it will be unsatisfactory to the most viewers. But let's go through it in order. The first one basically it's a creative idea, and basically a fact of a woman and her 2 kids going home on a train, and there seems to be this weird guy who has a box. One of the kids asks to have a look at it, has a look at it, and he's shocked, and from there he just doesn't eat and essentially wastes away, and he kind of passes this kind of condition onto his family. And that's pretty much a story, but there's no explanation about why. This one out of all of them, I feel will leave you the most frustrated, because there's no explanation about what's actually going on, what's caused it, what's in the box. I mean, ultimately, what even happens at the end, unfortunately. So, although I would praise this first one for having some creativity and some good ideas, I would say this was unsatisfying, big time, and doesn't pay off at all, to be honest. Some of the effects I would say are pretty good on this, particularly towards the end of this kind of short, but this one was really frustrating for me. The second film is not a horror film at all. It's a macabre comedy initially, and then turned into a music video, and it's about a woman who on her daughter's birthday finds her husband's corpse and is kind of deciding what to do with it. I have no idea what the point of this film was. It's literally just a farce with this woman for some reason not calling the police and just deciding to hide the body from everyone, even though she's not responsible for it. I don't even know why this film exists. This is by far the weakest film. It feels completely unnecessary. It's kind of well shot, I will say that, and it has nice production values. And I kind of quite like the main actress here. I thought she was kind of fun and kind of quite natural in a way. But that's really the only praise I can say on it, really, to be honest. It was such a weird thing. It just seemed to be so relevant compared to any other movies. So the third one, I would say, is your most traditional style horror film that you have here. And this is the only one, I would say, that has a complete ending to a certain degree. And also, it's the only one that doesn't have a female lead. This is an ensemble one, really. All the other 3 stories, the main character is a woman. This one is more of an ensemble piece. And this one basically focuses on 4 friends. They kind of go sort of camping in the wilderness in America somewhere, and they're menaced by a kind of ancient spirit. Like this one plays like a traditional horror film, and I think worked quite well. It does have an arc and actually has an ending to it. So I kind of quite like that. And I also really like the acting in this one. These 4 people, they're meant to be kind of stoners, but they seem really like real people, real genuine people. So this to me was one of the stronger ones. I don't know if it's the strongest. That's the last 2 are definitely the strongest. I think this was definitely the most complete out of the 4 stories. Although it's not the most creative, I would say, but it's definitely the most satisfying. The 4th one, I really like the story of this one, and I wish this one would have actually. I wish it was longer, to be honest, because I felt it really could have been of a benefit to have this one as a full-length film. This one we have a single woman who has brought up a kind of teenage son, and it's just kind of at the cusp of his 18th birthday. Now, he's displaying somewhat psychopathic tendencies, but it could be even worse than that. It could be the spawn of the devil. And this was a fantastic premise. I really enjoyed this one, and it got me hooked. The ending of this film, I've got to say, was a little bit confusing about what was actually happening, so I didn't quite understand the ending, if I'm completely honest. But other than that, I found this was a pretty good movie. Now, the one other critique I would have, this is really down to the length of the film, is that the teenager basically starts acting like an asshole from the minute we see him. And I feel it would have been a benefit to have, you know, him acting like a normal kid, maybe some before we see that sort of change on his 18th birthday or whatever, because straight away we think, why is this woman kind of only doing something about it now? Almost. We do get a little bit of kind of exposition later on, but I felt this would have actually benefited from being a proper long, you know, a long full-length film, this one, because I felt it kind of had a good enough story and was, you know, well directed and well acted and everything, and was pretty interesting. Again, wasn't happy with the ending of this one. So overall, I've got to say, this movie as a whole was somewhat disappointing. I mean, it's kind of a unique selling point. Obviously, it was all by kind of female behind the camera talent, or the majority female behind the talent here, and that doesn't really come into it doesn't really have any bearing on the actual stories, other than the majority of these films kind of having female leads. But it's in no way kind of, you know, feminist, if that's what you're thinking, or anything like that. So, but it was competently directed. All the films had good production values, and, you know, kind of looked pretty. There was a little bit of wobbly acting here and there, but I've got to say, I kind of enjoyed the last two, although the ending of the very last one was a little bit unsatisfying. But the first two I found were quite frustrating to watch. So overall, I've got to say, I'll give this movie a 5.5 out of 10. Certainly some talent to watch out for here. I feel all of these films, even though I didn't like maybe two of them, you know, there's definitely some kind of talent to watch here, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with these ladies sort of going forward. I feel some of the problems here is more in the writing rather than the directing. But anyway, that is my review of XX. It's a, you know, a different kind of film. I didn't really feel it needed to have this kind of like this female spin, really. It was more of just a kind of a marketing gimmick. It was could have just been any old, you know, horror anthology, to be quite honest. It didn't really, I didn't feel it needed that. But anyway, 5.5 out of 10 for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.